All right, let's get right into it. If you're aiming to become an AI engineer, the next couple of years are, well, absolutely crucial. But what should you actually be learning? We've taken the key insights from Dr. Anthony Onoja at the University of Surrey and boiled them down into a strategic roadmap. This is your no-flush guide to navigating the field and, actually landing that dream role come 2026.
And I really want to kick things off with this quote, because it just perfectly frames the job. See, this isn't just about banging out code. It's about being an architect, a builder. You're designing the very systems that are going to define our future. You're the one building that bridge between pure computer logic and, well, intelligent action. And the scale of this opportunity, it's just staggering. The World Economic Forum predicts that AI is on track to create 97 million new jobs. Let that sink in for a second. 97 million, that is not a typo. We are smack in the middle of a massive technological revolution, and the demand for people who can build this stuff is absolutely exploding.
But, and this is a big but, here's the real challenge. The data on this chart tells the whole story. For every 100 AI jobs out there, there are only about 47 people who are actually qualified to do them. That's a mind-blowing 53% skills gap. Now, this gap is the biggest headache for companies, but for you, it's the single biggest opportunity you could ask for.
So, how do you grab that opportunity? Well, here's our map for this explainer. We're going to start with what we're calling the AI gold rush. Then we'll build our foundational bedrock, master the core skills, take a little peek into the future, and then we'll wrap it all up with a concrete 12-month quest to get you there.
So let's set the scene. We are in the middle of an AI gold rush, and 2026 is really shaping up to be a critical year. The goal here isn't just to learn the latest trendy framework. It's about building what Dr. Onoja calls antifragile skills, skills that actually get stronger and more valuable in a world that's constantly changing.
And that journey to becoming antifragile starts right here, with your foundational bedrock. Seriously, these are the non-negotiables. If you try to skip this stuff, you're going to spend all your time fixing silly bugs instead of actually creating cool things. So what are they?
First up, Python. It is, without a doubt, the language everyone in AI speaks, period. But for 2026, knowing the basic syntax isn't going to cut it. You've got to master 3 key areas. First, wrangling huge data sets with libraries like Pandas and NumPy. Second, writing scalable apps with things like async programming. And third, deploying your models as real-world services using tools like FastAPI.
And now for your invisible superpower, math. I'm serious. This is what separates someone who just uses the tools from a true innovator who understands why the tools work. You need linear algebra to really get how neural networks operate. You need calculus to understand how they learn. And you absolutely need statistics to make sure your models are smart and not just memorizing the answers. Okay, with that solid foundation in place, we can finally move on to mastering the core skills. This is where we take all that theory and use it to build intelligent systems and, create a little bit of magic. Machine learning itself is evolving. The classic skills are still important, sure, but the big demand for 2026 is for something called explainable AI. Think about it. As AI makes more and more critical decisions, regulators, your boss, your users, they all want to know why. You need to be able to crack open those black boxes and explain what's going on inside. That means getting comfortable with tools like SHAP and Lime. Transparency isn't a soft skill anymore. It's a core technical skill. Next up, deep learning. Now, it's definitely good to understand the classics, like the neural networks that handle vision or the attention mechanisms that power the big language models. But here's the real-world secret, the thing they don't always tell you. About 80% of your actual job will be spent fine-tuning these huge pre-trained models you can get from places like Hugging Face. That's the real competitive edge.
And of course, there's generative AI. It's just not optional anymore. But using it professionally is way more than just typing into a chatbot. You need to master 2 key skills here. First, prompt engineering, using clever techniques to get exactly the output you want from a model. And second, and this is a total game changer, is retrieval augmented generation, or RAG. This is basically how you stop your models from just making stuff up. You ground them in real, factual data using something called a vector database.
Okay, we've nailed down the core skills. Now, let's peek into the future a bit. This is all about, skating to where the puck is going. It's about mastering the trends that are just emerging now, but will define the entire AI landscape in 2026.
And the biggest trend by far is something called Agentic AI. We're talking about systems that don't just respond to you, they plan, they reason, and they proactively take action to get things done. It's a huge shift in thinking, and it's expected to make up a whopping 40% of all enterprise AI by the middle of 2026.
So how do you get ready for this future? 3 key things. First, learn to build those agentic systems with frameworks like LangChain. Second, start thinking beyond the cloud. Learn how to deploy models directly onto devices. Think drones or smart cameras, and maybe even dip your toes into robotics. And third, with privacy being a huge deal, you need to master concepts like federated learning so you can train models without ever having to see the user's private data.
Okay, we know the why, we know the what, so let's get to the most important part, the how. This is your 12-month quest, a step-by-step mission plan to take you from novice to ninja.
Let's break down this learning sprint. For months 1 and 2, you go hard on the foundations, Python and math. Months 3 to 5, you dive into the core stuff in Gen AI, and you give yourself a huge goal: build a working RAG chatbot for your portfolio. Then, months 6 to 8, you tackle those future trends by contributing to an open-source agentic AI project. And finally, in the last stretch, you focus on deployment, polish everything up, get a cloud certification, and network like your career depends on it. Because it does.
So what does this actually take in real life? It's not magic, it's a pretty manageable plan. We're talking about 10 to 15 hours a week of consistent, focused effort. Budget-wise, maybe around $500 a year for things like Coursera or cloud credits. And the goal is to earn a respected certification, like the Google ML Engineer, to prove you've got the skills.
And look, if you only remember one thing from this whole explainer, please let it be this: projects, Trump, degrees. A certification might get your resume a second look, but a portfolio of real, working, deployed projects, that's what gets you hired. It's the undeniable proof that you can actually do the job. So build things.
And finally, we've talked a ton about tech, but your most indispensable skills will always be the human ones. Your ability to think creatively, to explain complex ideas through storytelling, to handle ethical questions, and to just read data like it's a language. These skills are what make you irreplaceable. They're your ultimate competitive advantage. This whole journey is a marathon, for sure, but the payoff is very real. This field is projected to grow another 25% by 2030, so the skills you're building now are an investment in a career that isn't just growing, it's fundamentally reshaping the world as we know it.
So, we'll end with the same question Dr. Onoja leaves us with. It's a powerful one, because it shifts your perspective from being a passive user of this technology to an active creator. The tools are here, the path is clear, the machines are waiting, so what are you going to ask them to learn first?